Hello everyone, please press subscribe, press follow, press the bell so you don't miss any new clips. Adorable Treasured Fox, Divine Doctor Mother Overturning the Heavens. Author by Co Chi Yi. Audio novels by Novelist. Chapter 301, The Broken-Hearted Dai Xuanhuan 2. Against that interrogative inquiry, Dai Xuanhuan demon sister didn't have the courage to meet her gaze. Say it, what's the matter? Seeing how avoiding the girl was, Bai Yan was sure she's hiding something. It doesn't matter if you don't say it, we can always stay here another month or so after we're done dealing with the Dong family's affair. Sister-in-law. The young maiden was ready to cry now. You can't, otherwise Chu Yi's brother from the Holy Land will be here soon. Startled by the outburst, Bai Yan hurries to pursue the topic. What do you mean by that? I just saw Chu Yi, Holy Land Princess, exchanging word with her brother. At this rate, it won't be long, merely 2 days before her brother arrives. I even saw her personal guards heading out to wait for the man. From the Holy Land to the Lu Huo Kingdom, passing through the Chi-Chia Kingdom was a must. Meaning so long as someone stands ready at the doorway then surely they can intercept Chu Yifeng. Now that's a headache indeed for Bai Yan. She clearly told those back at the Holy Land not to intervene. I thought I have already told him not to intervene in my personal affairs. Why would he be coming still? I don't know, but let's hurry and finish the matters here. Once we are back at home then no one can snatch you away with my brother there. Those words were said through grits and stones. Dai Xuanhuan demon sister may be a dumberklutz, but she too can see her friend was using this opportunity to sneak her own brother in while Dai Kang wasn't around. I must keep other wife snatchers away while Big Bro is away. Thinking of this, Dai Xuanhuan's demon sister focus inexplicably shifted towards the baby boy nearby. Her mood lighting up already at the sight. No matter what, Bai Xiakan is my brother's son, surely he would side with us and keep those pursuers away. Chia. Just as the girl was ready to ask for help from her nephew, the baby boy had already jumped the gun and cried out in delight using those big cuddly lips of his. Mother, is Godfather coming? If so then why don't we wait for him before leaving? As a result, Dai Xuanhuan's request was instantly shoved back into her throat, unable to go down or back up. It's bad enough she's choking on her own words, but the fact that she could hear her heart shattering was truly painful. Ellipsis. It was then at this moment during the group's little antics that a series of furious footsteps could be heard rushing over. This was Fu Baiyun. Without a single word or explanation upon her arrival, she immediately knocked the tea table over with a giant kick of her leg, thus spilling all of the contents onto the ground as a result. Is it you? Are you the one who harmed my son, you little bitch? Not even bothering to meet that furious gaze, Bai Yan instead leaned backwards against the chair to put on a comfortable posture. Remember to lick every drop of the water off the ground now. Towards his mother's order, the baby boy can only blink his eyes in confusion. But mother, what if she can't clean it all? That's easy. We can just lop off whichever leg she used to kick over my table. As the old saying goes, who you mix around with is a reflection of yourself. Because of her extended interactions with Dai Kang, even that habit of lopping people's limbs off was now rubbing off on Bai Yan. You bitch. Going cold in her face, Fu Baiyun's shameless woman directly makes a slap for her target's face. Unfortunately for her though, before that hand could reach its target, Dai Xuanhuan demon sister had already intercepted it mid-flight by pinching that wrist. Who did you call bitch? Her gorgeous big eyes were unbefittingly filled with anger. Who do you think you are to scold my sister-in-law? To do such a thing in Dai Xuanhuan's very presence, that's equivalent to insulting her too. Now that won't do, will it? Making a sneer at the girl's question, Fu Baiyan only shot a derisive look at Bai Yan before speaking. She's Bai Yan, Lan Xiaoyun's cousin, am I right? I know her name, she's utterly famous even in our Chi-Chia kingdom. The one who got impregnated before marriage and then eloped with her man. Such a slut can be mocked by anyone in this world. Chapter 302, The Broken-Hearted Dai Xuanhuan 3. The false fact that Bai Yan eloped with a man 5 years ago was undeniably a humiliating event for the Lan house. Therefore, it also indirectly affected Dong Rulan too whenever she returned to the Dong house for a visit. Unforgiving and unyielding, there were no mercy shown here by the demon princess in her ability to dish out a punishing slap. Because of the force involved, Fu Baoyun's shameless woman was actually sent flying out like a rolling pin this time. Different from Bai Yan's kick but just as deadly. Watching the abhorrent figure lying there on the ground, Bai Yan finally stepped in. Xiakan, go call both elders out here for me. If they won't get justice for my aunt today, then I will have their Dong house turned upside down. In response to that statement, the baby boy only had sympathy for these foolish people, especially at the cowardly man that's standing there. Mother, I will go right away. After saying this, Bai Xiakan immediately dashed out of his mother's embrace and headed for the inside. Before long, that tiny body was gone from view. Do you think I will be afraid of those two old fools? Climbing up from the ground by gnashing her teeth, Fu Baoyun simply doesn't learn. What are you still standing there for? Did you not see her hitting me? Go teach her a lesson. Before Dong Ruo keen cowardly man could say anything else to his wife's order, their attention pulled to their back by the distant small figure running back over. Mother. Without delay, the baby boy had already pounced back into his mother's arm. That angelic face delightfully bright as he spoke. Did I do well? I also called for this ugly dragon to come over too. Normally Bai Xiakan would simply ignore such a ugly creature, but since this was about supporting his auntie Xuanhuan, it's only proper they boasted their aura to intimidate the other side. Grower. Working incoherent with his master, the glass dragon starts growling aloud to send the shameless woman straight back to the ground. To be clear, the dragon made no attempt to scare anyone else here, simply the woman because he disliked her for that insult earlier. Be good, behave yourself. Patting the dragon on the head like a boss, Bai Xiakan timely stepped in before anything more could occur. If you perform well today, then I will give you some snacks as reward. Why did he hate the dragon before? It's because he didn't want another mouth trying to snatch his food away from the already limited portions Bai Yan was willing to give. It's fine if this dragon was good looking, at least he can bolster his ranks with something nice, but he's so ugly. There's no way Bai Xiakan would want to share if he's of no use. Cousin. Learn Xuanhuan, second male cousin, awkwardly rubbed the back of his head. We've really troubled you this time to make you come so far. Neither pleased nor angry at the formality, Bai Yan only showed a faint smile at her bigger cousin's demeanor. Aunt is my family, so of course I have to get involved. Looking at that brilliant face, Learn Xuanhuan, second male cousin, was surprisingly shy. Coughing twice to clear the mood, he averts his gaze before he embarrasses himself. Fu Baoyun. Just as the mood was calming down, a sudden roar from the back instantly riled up the shameless woman on the ground. It was Dong Tianling, old lord, who came running out. This was not all that surprising for Fu Baoyun's shameless woman to be taken aback by her father-in-law's holler. Ever since she married into the family, not a single person would dare roar at her, so this would be the first. Fu Baoyun. Surging with anger in his eyes, the old lord was practically screaming at this point, "You not only hurt my daughter, you even deceived us by giving her some fake medicine. What do you have to say for yourself?" Shockingly enough, Fu Baoyun showed no fear nor repentance at the interrogating words shooting her way, only a mocking sneer like she has done no wrong. Chapter 303, The Broken-Hearted Xuanhuan 4. Dong Ruolan is only pretending to be sick, so only you idiots would waste such precious medicine on her. It's not like she's going to die anyways, why waste such money? You. Dong Tianling's old lord was trembling by now. I should have known better. You took the money and returned with some fake pill. I really am a fool to have trusted you. Inhaling deeply as his fists gripped into a ball. Someone come, I'm going to help my son divorce this woman. Do you know what you are saying? Not even Fu Baoyun's shameless woman can stay calm after that. Popping her eyes, she was aghast by what she heard. How dare they? My marriage into this family is already a degrading fact in of it itself, now they want to kick me out. Father. Dong Ruo, keen cowardly man, had gone white too. Bao Yun's grievance had already been so great over the years. You can't expel her out of the family over an outsider. Going stiff at his son's outburst, Dong Tianling, old lord, was truly disappointed to his core now. The only comforting part here was his daughter Rulan not being here. Otherwise, he won't even know what sort of reaction his daughter would make at this foolish son's statement. So this is the brother Rulan protected all these years, loved all these years. Mother. Tilting his little head, Bai Xiakan appears confused at this moment. Is grand auntie adopted? Why do you say that? If grand auntie is Grandpa Dong's biological daughter, then it should be her who's the real close kin. Yet, they keep calling her an outsider. That's so sad. I feel sorry for grand auntie. The innocent and childish voice instantly causes the noisy courtyard to quiet down. What nonsense are you talking about? Dong Ruo, keen cowardly man, was blaring with irritation. My sister is of course my father's real daughter. But she's already married, so it's normal for her to be an outsider. So it's like that. Nodding his head like he now understood, Bai Xiakan's voice was still so naive and childish. Then did grand auntie change her blood when she married? If she didn't, then she should still be of Grandpa Dong's blood. I can only think of that way for her to be an outsider. Speaking of this, the baby boy then puts on a frightened appearance by biting his fingernails. Mother, would I have to change blood too when I take a wife? I'm scared of the pain. If this was said by anyone else, Dong Ruo, keen cowardly man, would definitely yell at him for putting on an act. But the one in front was but a child no older than 5 at best. How can he match a scheming person with that sort of face? As such, the only recourse he can do was to shoot a displeased glare at Bai Yan, as if blaming her for not educating the child properly. Ignoring that look, Bai Yan only raised a smirk while she rubbed her son's head. It's not your grand auntie's blood who has changed, but the other person over there. Naturally your grand auntie is an outsider to them, they don't even share the same blood. I understand now, mother. Grand auntie and Grandpa Dong is of the same family while this man is the real outsider. It's good that you understand. If you don't in the future, then you must ask, okay? The inconsiderate dialogue between the mother and son definitely didn't sit well with Fu Baiyun and her husband. From displeasure to anger, they wanted to outright attack the pair at this point. Father, mother, giving a warning glare at Bai Yan, Dong Ruo, keen cowardly man, then turns back to his parents. How can Xuanhuan bring such a woman over to our home? She doesn't even know how to educate her son, so she herself can't be any good either. Chapter 304, Are you sure it's Lan Xuanhuan? 1. What you said there is right. Those who don't know how to educate their son can't be any good. I confess, I'm not a good person at all. Literally screaming in her voice, old Madame Dong directly flings her cane down to the ground as she roared out these pained words. Following her mother-in-law's outburst, Fu Baoyun's shameless woman noble expression finally crumbled. This old hag, can't she at least read the situation? Why is she siding with those outsiders? By the way, grandfather, grandmother, Lan Xuanhuan, girl cousin, appears to have remembered something just then. Wrinkling her brow, I've wanted to ask for a while now, where did Red Sea go? How come I can't find her anywhere inside the estate? Red Sea was the name the girl gave the Red Phoenix. Due to its docile nature and its obedient personality, Lan Xuanhuan was sure the bird wouldn't go anywhere unless ordered to. As a result of this out-the-blue question, the tense atmosphere immediately dispersed again. Your mother had the bird settle down inside the small garden. If nothing else, it should still be there. I'm sorry, Xuanhuan, because of everything that's been happening, I didn't pay much attention. The old lord sounded apologetic. But I've looked there already, I couldn't find her. Not in the small garden. The old lord frowns, it might just be out. I speculate the bird will come back in due time. The phoenix has the power of a sky-rank martialist. Who in the kingdom can stop it unless the royal family gets involved? Royal family. When these two words appeared in his mind, Dong Tianling, old lord, was immediately thrust into an ice block. His old face full of guilty consciousness. Impossible. Red Sea would never leave by herself alone. Grandfather, tell me what happened to her. She's my grandfather's contract beast, not your Dong family's. Lan Xiaoyun girl cousin was of the best among the Lan family members in terms of self-restraint. For her tone to be so harsh, it's not hard to imagine the anger brewing inside. Ho ho, snickering in her tongue, Fu Baoyun shameless woman wouldn't have any of that. Don't think others wouldn't know just because you won't say. It's clearly your mother suckering it from another man, what your grandfather's contract beast. As if she's good enough for the Lan house to be good to her. Stopping there, the shameless woman finally noticed the murderous eyes shooting her way from the young lass. Gulping hard out of reflex, her aura instantly weakens by a mile. You, what do you want to do? I am your aunt. You. Enough. Dong Tianling's old lord expression was cold and hard. Tell me now, where did you people take the phoenix? Going stiff in his body, it was the cowardly man who spoke first. I don't know. Looking at this son who had been loved by him for so many years, to be turned into this coward, to be turned into this state, not even the old lord can take it anymore. Literally shaking there due to his own anger, I will give you one last chance. Choose the family, or this woman. If you still want to stay with this family, then tell me where the phoenix is. Afraid to face his father the entire time, Dong Ruoqing never once met those eyes. Father, I really don't know where it went. Maybe it just left because it didn't want to follow sister. In that very second, a feeling of powerlessness had completely swamped his very heart. Shaking that old head, the old lord cannot even begin to describe his disappointment. Miss Bai Yan, it's my fault. I not only couldn't protect my own daughter, I can't even return your phoenix. It's my Dong house who have wronged your Lan house. Chapter 305, Are you sure it's Lan Xiaoyun? 2. Making a bitter smile, the old lord's voice sounded painful. Whatever you want to do, I won't interfere anymore. You are assuming too much. Even if you want to stop it, your Dong family doesn't have the strength to do so. Standing up, Bai Yan's expression became sharp and stern. Son, go check where Red Sea is right now. For a second there, all eyes were on the little guy now. How can this little kid know where the phoenix is when they aren't willing to say? Old Lord Dong was the most surprised by the statement. Just as everyone was questioning the seriousness of this, Bai Xiaoyan had already closed his eyes to begin. Mother, Red Sea is about 1,000 meters east of here. To the east. Isn't that the location of the palace? Gripping his fist into a ball, old Lord Dong immediately shot a disappointed look at his unfilial son. It's you who called the people of the palace, isn't it? You called them to take the phoenix away, didn't you? The most ironic part here was how clueless he himself was. He didn't notice it at all, being the master of the house. How can he face his own daughter? How can he face the Lan house? Against that pressuring gaze from his father, the cowardly man had nothing left to say. Then again, even if he didn't speak the truth, it's too late. Silence was the same as answering here. Issuing out a coughing laugh of pain and sorrow. Good, very good. This is the son I raised. The son I so painstakingly raised from young. There's no need for you to make a divorce letter anymore. I will personally head over to the ancestral hall to ask for repentance, while you are no longer a member of the Dong house. Father, going white in his complexion, Dong Ruoqing cowardly man was shocked with horror. You want to drive me out of the house? Do you know that His Majesty has forgiven Baoyun already and is even willing to utilize our family again? Such a good opportunity, are you just going to throw all of it away? If not for my wife, how could the king reuse our family again? This time old Lord Dong didn't need to speak, it was Bai Yan who spoke first. Her voice icy to the bone. You better pray that my phoenix is unharmed, otherwise. She did not elaborate on the consequences, but anyone can tell it would be involving quite a lot of bloodshed. Lifting her son up with her, Bai Yan turns away without looking back while she gave her order. Xuanhuan demon princess, you are in charge of bringing these two with you. If they dare try escaping, go ahead and break their legs. Come son, we will go ahead and look for Red Sea first. Dumbfounded by this, the demon princess wanted to protest, but we're all going to palace anyways. Why can't we just bring them along for the ride? They are not qualified. The meaning of that was that these two are not qualified to ride on the dragon's back, so of course she wouldn't take them. Blinking those beautiful big eyes, Xuanhuan had to take a second to process this, but I am a princess of the demon realm. Seeing the departure of the woman and child, Fu Baoyun only sneered with contempt instead of fearing her fate, as if you people can even return after going to the palace. Still want to break my leg? Quit dreaming. There are so many masters in the palace, as if she will ever make it back. After thinking this, Fu Baoyun was ready to turn and leave when a loud hollering voice came from behind. Who said you can leave? It was Xuanhuan. Despite the clear order to stop, the shameless woman continues heading for the inside, which definitely didn't sit well with the demon princess. I said, you are not allowed to go. Her aura increasingly more dangerous following each step. Chapter 306, Are you sure it's Lan Xiaoyun? 3. Wah. Bristling with fierce wind, the sky suddenly darkens as several trees simply uprooted themselves due to the intense force. Shame though, despite one of the falling trees coming so dearly close to the shameless woman, Fu Baoyun somehow manages to avoid it in the nick of time with merely inches between her and the wood. Then before the abhorrent woman could compose herself again after the close encounter, a sharp pain abruptly struck her in the back of the head. Next thing she knew, her view had gone black while her body stumbles helplessly to the ground. Moments later, the area freakishly returns to normal. Why must you people be so disobedient? If you had just listened, then I wouldn't have had to make a move. Raising that youthful smile of hers, Xuanhuan was back to her jolly-go-lucky self as she eyed the cowardly man standing next to his wife. Are you going to follow me, or should I also knock you out too? Frightfully white in his complexion, Dong Ruo, keen cowardly man, could hardly make his words clear. I will go by myself. Then what are you still standing there for? Don't say I didn't warn you. If you make my sister-in-law wait too long, she might just lop off your limbs as punishment. Giving a snort, Xuanhuan demon princess only had disdain in her eyes over the unconscious woman there. You are in charge of dragging her along. I don't want dirty myself over someone so filthy. Ellipsis. Meanwhile, back over at the palace end, the king was currently rushing into the back mountain after sending off the ignorant pair from his line of sight. This was the forbidden zone of the palace. Aside from the king himself, no other are permitted to enter unless given express permission. The reason being was that the only king-class master of the royal house was living here in seclusion and doesn't wish to be disturbed. Finally reaching his destination, a grand little estate, Fu Tianqi was first received by a senior eunuch at the doorway. While inside, he can clearly see an elderly man of white currently having a chess match by himself. Yes, this is it. The chess game that's been stumping me for the past few years has finally been solved by me. Ha ha. Following this laugh, the tightly knitted brow of the elder finally loosened up. Tianqi, what sort of matter do you have in coming here to look for me? Father, I have a matter I like to inform you. This elder, known as the strongest in the Qiqia kingdom, was also the previous king and father of Fu Tianqi and Fu Baoyun. Is it your sister who's caused trouble again? The elder's brow wrinkled back up again. When you succeeded the throne, you promised me that so long as she doesn't make any serious mistakes, you will overlook her faults. But if she does become excessive, you are also free to bar her from the palace. Now the king was quite surprised there when he looked up. For his father to say something like this before hearing what he had to say, it's clear how disappointing his sister Fu Baoyun truly was. Seeing his son's silent demeanor, the elder first made a bitter smile before continuing. My son, if it really won't work, then you don't need to hold back anymore. What I owe Consort K is already returned by now. I know you've been troubled by how indulgent I've been towards your sister and her relatives, the K family. Back then, if not for my own folly and moment of negligence, Baoyun's shameless woman mother wouldn't have passed away so young. In order to make up for that guilt he has for his daughter, the former king gave an unprecedented amount of glory to the Caugh family and completely indulged his daughter. Because of that, he had directly molded Fu Baoyun into the current mess that she was. But these faults are his and shouldn't be burdened by his son. Father, Fu Tianqi became moved. I am not coming to you because of her. Chapter 307, Are you sure it's Lan Xiaoyun? 4. Using the next little while, the king went over everything with his father regarding the things the shadow guard reported to him. At the last part, the king also added in a little extra. Over the years I've intentionally distanced myself from the Dong family because of Bao Yun, but now that things are like this, I intend to start using Dong Ruo Keen cowardly man to build up the bond between both sides. The man may be cowardly and useless, but he's still the only son of the Dong house, so the king wasn't wrong to assume his plan would be favorable. However, that was only true until Fu Baoyun knocked Dong Ruolan into a comatose state. If only he had paid a little more attention in recent day, then surely the king would have known what's going on during this period. The elder's expression was very heavy at this moment. Dong Ruolan is Bai Yan's aunt, so I want you to temper your sister's attitude before it's too late. Father, do you think my words are going to be of use? With her character, Bao Yun would definitely think it's just me deceiving her and twist it into her own form. Why bother wasting words with her? Just thinking of the impending future of his sister wandering around in front of him again, the king would want to vomit due to the nauseating sight. He really didn't like the woman. The elder faintly nods in understanding. Then first please Dong Ruo Keen and leave your sister alone. I heard Dong Ruolan is very fond of her younger brother. As long as that man speaks on our behalf, then surely Bai Yan would be more susceptible to working with us. Yes, father. I will take my leave first then. I still have some more work I need to finish before the day ends. After giving his report to the former king, Fu Tianqi immediately left for the mountain base under the guidance of the old eunuch. Ellipsis. Unbeknownst to the king, his third son was already waiting there for him. Stalking back and forth, this one famed for his dastardly ways was very eager to get inside only to be stopped by the royal guards at the mountain path. Your Highness, under the order of the king, none is allowed inside including you. Hitting a wall against that blatant refusal, Fu Rulin can only meekly return his steps back to the foot of the hill. His appearance clearly restless right up to the point where his eyes caught sight of that bright yellowish figure. Father, this sudden outcry causes the king to halt instantly. What are you doing here? Fu Tianqi was stern in his voice while he interrogated his son. Father, I am here to discuss the matter of me taking a new concubine. You promised me that I will only need to wait a few days, but I couldn't wait anymore, that's why I'm here. Fu Rulin eagerly waltzed up to his father like a dog wagging their tail. Going livid with anger, the king was aghast by his son's outrageous demand. When did I promise you a new concubine? Furthermore, isn't your home filled with wives already? Stunned by this, the third prince rushes to answer, but this is what Aunt Bao Yun told me. She said I only need to wait a few days and then father you will grant me what I want. Fu Baoyun sure planned things out well with her wishful thinking. She wants to force Lan Xiaoyun into marrying her nephew the third prince, but out fear her brother the king would refuse, she instead tried to force Dong Ruolan into making the request with her father-in-law. If old Lord Dong comes before the king and asks, surely things would work out perfectly and everyone will be happy. Of course, the abhorrent woman's plan didn't work out as planned. Not only did she knock Dong Ruolan unconscious, her nephew himself was dumb enough to come spoil everything before the king too. Fu Baoyun, her again, who did she promise you? The king was literally gnashing his teeth by this point. It's the granddaughter of the Dong family, Lan Xiaoyun. Chapter 308, The Sky is Falling. Lan Xiaoyun. Boom. These three words were like thunder, striking straight into Fu Tianqi's head without remorse. Ghastly white in his face, the king rushes to confirm what his son said. Who did you just say? Lan Xiaoyun, the one from the Lu Huo kingdom. Not Red Xiaoyun or some other Xiaoyun. I wouldn't be mistaken, it's Lan Xiaoyun, daughter of Dong Ruolin. Fu Rulin answers affirmatively. It's at this moment that the king felt like the very sky was falling before his very eyes. Staggering backwards like he's about to tip over, he's ever so thankfully that there's a branch nearby for him to grip onto. Who else knows this? He asks with that trembling voice of his. If no one knows, then that's fine. The most I need to do was to teach that idiotic woman a lesson. But if it's leaked into the public, then the entire royal family will be finished. That damn wretched woman. The man was literally hating himself right now because if hadn't went soft back then, he would have expelled that Fu Baoyun straight out of the royal house and banned her from the palace for good. Fu Rulin was stunned. Just as he was contemplating on how to answer his father right now, the third prince was interrupted by a old figure rushing over to their location. Your Majesty. Wearing a white robe, this person didn't take long to reach the king considering how old he was. Master Wu Lin, is something of the matter that you would be in such a rush? Pleased to have a change of face, Fu Tianqi King was much better in his tone compared to before. Your Majesty, I'm here to report to you that Princess Baoyun sought me out 2 days ago. I was told not to let you know, but after some thinking, I felt it was best you be informed regardless. Fu Baoyun, why is it that woman again? Hearing his heart sinking into the abyss, the king was almost too afraid to ask there, she again, what did she do this time? To answer your Majesty, your sister the princess called for me after she left Lady Rulin of the Dong house in a comatose state. I was supposed to treat the lady, but Princess Baoyun threatened me to change out the medicine for a fake one. She claimed Lady Rulin was just faking it and doesn't need the proper care. He may be an alchemist, but he's merely a second-ranked one, the lowest of the low. Without the support of a powerful Shifu master or organization to back him, Master Wu Lin here can only rely on the royal house to maintain his study and work. As such, the threat from the princess was a major sore spot for him. He didn't have the nerve to go against the woman, but that doesn't mean he wouldn't want to inform the king as an act of self-preservation. Fu Baoyun, she knocked Dong Ruolin into an unconscious state. Trembling all over, the king was ready to faint at this point from how green and white his face was. But more than that, it was despair that's the most dominant here in his eyes. Yes, your Majesty, unaware of why the king looked so horrible, the old master here continues on with his explanation. That day Her Highness was trying to force Lady Rulin into betrothing her daughter to the third prince. Because she wouldn't, the princess directly attacked the woman in a fit of rage. My king, this is urgent and cannot wait. I am an alchemist and a healer at my core, so I can't just turn a blind eye when I know what I'm doing is against my moral code. Her ladyship's injury is very severe. If proper care isn't given soon, I fear she will soon be beyond help and cannot wake again. Boom. Left in daze and unable to think anymore, Fu Tianqi only had Master Wu Lin's words reverberating in his mind like an echoing effect. Be beyond help and cannot wake again. Cannot wake again. Useless. In his fit of rage, the king directly sends a palm strike at the elder's chest. Violently shaking there like he's about to explode. Do you know what sort of trouble you've people caused? If Dong Ruolin cannot wake again, the entire royal house, no. The entire kingdom will be finished. Looking up in astonishment from the ground, Master Wu Lin remains oblivious to what the king meant by that. Someone come. I'm going to the Dong house to ask for forgiveness. Chapter 309, Fainted from Fright. Fu Tianqi didn't even have the patience to look at the old master by this point. With a sweep of his sleeve, the king directly takes his leave. However, before he could even make it back to the palace ground, a panicking eunuch had stopped him in his track. Marmage Majesty. Assassin. There's an assassin. Annoyed by the interference, the king roars out without thinking, such a small tiny thing and you people are still coming to bother me. Scram. Small thing. The eunuch was dumbfounded. An assassination attempt turns into a small thing. Majesty, seeing the king wouldn't stop at all, the eunuch became so anxious that he actually stomped on the spot like a girl before giving chase. Majesty, you can't go there, it's too dangerous. Unfortunately, it's already late. Ellipsis. By the time the eunuch was able to catch up to the man himself, the giant dragon was already in perfect view hovering above their heads. Unlike the king who was completely blown away by the scene, his royal guards were all unfortunate enough to have the first taste of the dragon's strength. As for the glass dragon himself, the big guy was much more relaxed in the air, only giving a disdainful snort at these minuscule ants crawling about. Majesty! Exclaiming at the sight of the king's fainting body, the eunuch was frightfully scared there as he cried for help, someone come save the king. Just as the eunuch's voice came to an end, another sharp and irritating cry instantly overshadowed it from the front. Brother save me! Not far away was the demon princess Xuanhuan herself, while behind her was the cowardly man dragging his wife along. Unlike the prestigious look from before, Fu Baoyun was a mess here with scattered hair and rips along her entire wardrobe. So, it's not hard to imagine why she would scream out for help the second the king came into view. Dong Ruo Qin, you useless thing! How dare you actually help these people? Don't forget, my brother the king is only willing to reuse your family because of me. Otherwise your Dong house would be nothing without me. Against that bombardment of an insult, Dong Ruo Qin didn't have anything to say in rebuke of his wife. Earlier when Xuanhuan knocked the abhorrent woman out, it was assumed that she wouldn't come to until they reached the palace. Yet, maybe it's just Fu Baoyun prefers to be tortured and beaten, but she awoke merely minutes after they left the estate. As such, Dong Ruo Qin had no choice but to force his way with his wife by dragging her along. Brother, you must save me. After getting no response from her husband despite her antics, the abhorrent woman finally had it and ran for her brother's side. By this point the king was also coming to after the eunuch helped him regain consciousness. At first he was still stuck in a daze over his surroundings, but that instantly changed when the scattered mess of his sister came into his view. Without a second thought, he sends the abhorrent flying with a ruthless kick of his own. Get the hell out of here. It's all this blasted woman's fault. If not for her, how can there be so much trouble? If the royal house is destroyed this time, then she will be the greatest sinner. Sprawling there on all four, Fu Baoyun was stunned by the sudden attack. Looking up in shock, her words were a stammering mess. Brother, did you mistake me for someone else? I am your favorite sister Baoyun. How could my brother kick me? Furthermore, brother clearly intended to reuse the Dong house because of me. Dragon. It was then. Chapter 310, No Mistake. After hearing the faint lazy voice coming from his back, the glass dragon immediately issued out a roar at the ants below. His eyes radiating a bloodthirst that made no attempt at hiding his intent to kill, which directly sent the king going numb in the feet. You are Miss Baoyun of the Lu Huo Kingdom, correct? An ugly huge dragon carrying a stunning red woman as well as a delicate-looking young child of no older than 5. The answer was self-evident in front of such a combination. Dragon, kill them for me. Acting as if unable to hear that question, Baoyun gives out her order using that chilling voice filled with murderous intent. Wait. Wiping that sweat from his forehead, Fu Tianqi King hurries to ask with that awkward smile of his, Miss Baoyun, is there some sort of misunderstanding between us? Why the need for such a big commotion? There is no misunderstanding. Whoever tries to stop me from taking back my phoenix today will be faced with death. Indifferent in her attitude, the woman's demeanor was tyrannical and overbearing, strangely similar to Daikang's when he demands his way. Phoenix? What phoenix? How come I don't know anything about this? Turning around in great rage, Fu Tianqi roars out at the group of masters coming to protect him, which of you stole the lady's phoenix? Return at this instant, do you hear me? Exchanging an odd look between themselves, it was a sky-class master among this group who worked up the courage to speak. Though he was technically speaking, it was still more like a squeamish buzz similar to that of a mosquito. Your Majesty, not long ago we did capture a phoenix at Princess Baoyun's order, but it was in order to tame so she can offer it to you. Boom. Stumbling backwards due to the shocking revelation, Fu Tianqi King took quite the effort there in order to not faint to the ground. Even so, what's left on that already ghastly face now was despair and fear. It's over. That idiot Fu Baoyun. It was already bad enough she injured Dong Rulan and tried to force Lan Xiaoyun into becoming a concubine, now she also captured a phoenix behind everyone's back. How can there be such a stupid person in this world? Why must she be part of the royal household? What are you all still standing there for? Go and release the lady's phoenix this instant. Spewing fire from his eyes, the king was literally screaming in his voice. Despite the direct order, these people only stood there in hesitation because they know what the consequences will be if they freed the fire phoenix. Injured all over from their tortures, it'd be strange if things ends brightly for their side. Every person had their limits and Bai Yan's was at hers in terms of patience by this point. Wrinkling her brow, she gives a direct order to the glass dragon, flatten the palace. I don't care if you have to dig 3 feet into the ground, I want to see my phoenix by the end of this day. Her son can only give an approximate location of the intended target, meaning she only knows Red Sea was somewhere in this area, otherwise, Bai Yan wouldn't even bother to waste time here dealing with these fools. And since these people here wouldn't cooperate, her recourse can only be to flatten the entire palace to look brutish and inefficient, but it works. Please wait, Miss Bai Yan, please give me a minute. I will have your phoenix out here very soon. Scared to the point where his handsome face was now green, Fu Tianqi King grew angrier than ever. It seems you people aren't going to obey me today. Fine. I will go call my father the former king to order you people instead. Going white in their faces, these masters can only do as told when the king was willing to go that far. There's not a doubt left in these people's mind that it's over today. You people should pray that my phoenix is unharmed. If I find any injury on her, I won't know what sort of things I would do then. Shaking hard inside, the king now realizes the order might not have the best of his choices today. Sadly for him, Fu Baoyun just had to interject herself in this crucial timing after climbing up from the ground. Maybe the abhorrent woman was still stuck in a daze-like state after being kicked, but her words was no different from adding fuel to a fire. Who dares to take my stuff? So what if that phoenix was taken by me? The creature is but a prize Dong Rulan got after selling her body to another man. I'm telling you now, once it's inside the Dong house then it's mine, you hear me? End of the chapter. Adorable treasured fox divine Dr. Mother Overturning the Heavens, will be read in 10 chapters for every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday and Sunday. Please leave this sound novel and press subscribe, follow, and the bell so you don't miss any new clips as well. See you.